Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. Today is August 2nd. I've already covered the anniversaries I have today, so I'm going to link to them below. And we are going to pick up with the Life Dynamics podcast, speaking to Troy Newman of Operation Rescue, what happens when abortions go wrong.
Huge complication. You have to understand how the uterus works. It's an organ in and of itself. And while the baby is growing inside, there's a ton of blood rushing to that uterine wall. Mm-hmm. Why? Because that's where the baby's placenta is implanted. Yeah. So there's major arteries going to that. And one complication that we see over and over again is when that cannula or the suction device, as you said, goes in and it pierces a uterine artery. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know our arteries in our neck or our leg and so forth. You know how fast it is for someone to bleed out. And that's what happens. Uncontrollable bleeding from a uterine artery causes death within just a few hours.
Mm-hmm. And an important thing to note is, in spite of the fact that that bleeding can happen very quickly, the Centers for Disease Control said that there's no legitimate reason for a woman to bleed to death from a supposedly safe legal abortion. And I tend to link to the article about that whenever I cover a hemorrhage death.
Not moments, depending on how bad, and we've seen that time and time again.
Right. Well, Tanya Reeves is a perfect example of that.
I'll provide the link for Tanya Reeves below.
You know, when she bled out in the hallway after an abortion, and it's not just that she got that injury. Mm-hmm. They knew she was bleeding. Right. They wheeled her in a hallway left her for 5 hours, knowing the injury that she had and how it could be fatal. Right.
It begs the question, why? If they're so concerned about women, you know, that's what the abortionist said, women.
And I've said it before, the abortion practices are laser focused on the fetus because the fetus is their target. Their entire goal is to get rid of that fetus. And sadly, it seems like in a lot of cases, once that fetus is suctioned out or expelled via chemicals, they completely lose interest in the woman. I think that's a lot of the reason why they don't want their doctors to have hospital privileges, because they honestly feel that once that fetus is dead, they no longer have any responsibility for the woman.
And it's the most important thing in the whole world. No, my position is the most important thing for the abortion cartels to kill the baby. They're so anti-child, so anti-human, so ghoulish, so demonic.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a ghoulish thing. I think it's more that if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. The only thing they know to offer to a distressed pregnant woman is a dead fetus. That's all they know to do. That's their entire purpose. Is imagine a dental practice that did nothing but pull teeth. Okay, that's all they do. That's all they know how to do. The only equipment they have in the office is for pulling teeth. They don't have drills. They don't have scalers. They don't have fluoride treatments. They don't have anything they would use to do anything except pull teeth. You go in there, they're going to pull your teeth. Abortion clinics are abortion clinics. They exist to get rid of fetuses. And they might feel that this is some kind of vital public service, but that's what they're there to do. And they get this tunnel vision. Even the ones, Carol Everett talked about how it would really be disturbing her when she'd be over by the sink and counting the little arms and legs and stuff. And, she would see this tiny mangled body and start to question whether what she was doing was right. And she would repeat to herself, I'm helping women have safe legal abortions. I'm helping women have safe legal abortions. And never mind that she was deliberately putting them on ultra low dose birth control so they'd get pregnant in the first place, and then she would help them have safe legal abortions, and never mind that she managed to kill Sherry Graham. It's not necessarily demonic. It's just that their focus has become so narrow that the woman herself actually becomes invisible to them because they are there to get rid of fetuses. That's what they do.
That they're more concerned with their own reputation, than they are with the life of the woman. Why did they just wheel Tanya over to a hallway? It's because they were afraid to call the ambulance or to bring her to a doctor I remember Diamond Phillips was wheeled in a wheelchair after a 2-hour abortion where she was left screaming and yelling, finally put in a wheelchair and wheeled down 2 blocks to the local emergency room by Stephen Brigham and Nicole O'Reilly, the 2 abortionists there in Maryland, and just left there. Hey, we can't do anything with her. Here you go. And she almost died.
Ooh, I did not know about that case. Good old Stephen Chase Brigham. I am going to have to cover that.
Fortunately, the emergency room had the wherewithal to get a helicopter, and they rushed her over to
Trauma center.
The Mayo Clinic Trauma Center. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times these women need, first level trauma care. And so what do they say? You can go to Abortion 911 and see this. We just had one that was posted on the 21st of this month, February 21st, 2024, where a Michigan Planned Parenthood requested no lights, no sirens. Okay? Imagine this. Sarah, you're on the operating room table and you're bleeding out, and they call 911. Hey, we need to have you come over here just as quick as you can. But you know what? Don't make it too quick. Yeah. Don't have any lights or sirens. Come in the back door, kind of come in low key, because we don't want our reputation damaged. We certainly don't want the likes of Life Dynamics or Operation Rescue getting this 911 call and posting up on the internet, because that gives us a bad name.
Well, and this is not an isolated incident. One of the things that I discovered that was just shocking to me, and I guess it shouldn't be, is how many times these clinics ask for no lights, no sirens, because they're afraid of the way it looks.
They don't want ambulances showing up outside of abortion clinics time after time.
Now, I can't, as a former EMT, I can't put too much stress on the no lights, no sirens, because in some cases an ambulance is appropriate, but it's a hasty situation, not a right this very minute situation. Sometimes the lights and the sirens cause distress to the patient and pump up their blood pressure. If you just need a fairly routine transport, something's going wrong here, I want her in a fully equipped hospital while I look over this a little more, and I want her in an ambulance so I know that if something goes wrong, we can take care of her. I don't think lights and sirens are always appropriate. So that's another thing where I think they kind of overdo the no lights, no sirens thing. It isn't always necessary.
They don't want people seeing that.
Well, can you imagine there's a local outpatient surgery clinic, and they're everywhere, right? You drive down there and see them all over the place. People are getting, minor surgeries. I mean, I think colonoscopy, because I recently had one. Not fun, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But you know what? When they wheel you in there and they give you the Vicodin to put you out or get you in twilight sleep, you look up on the wall, there's oxygen, connected to the wall. They've got a defibrillator. They've got, all those instruments to bring you back to life in the rare case something happens. Now, can you imagine these local outpatient surgery centers having an ambulance show up there 3-4 times a month with lights and sirens and wheeling people off and then carting them in? Our office here, like I said, is an abortion clinic, is located just right across the street from a major hospital in Wichita, Kansas. And there's ambulances going in there all the time. You think, oh, that was a car accident, someone had a cardiac arrest. I always, just pray whenever I see an ambulance running down the road, lights and sirens running, just pray for that person that's obviously in distress. But can you imagine the uproar of the other people going there for normal procedures when they would see this ambulance coming in day after day? That's what we see, like the so-called Hope Clinic in Illinois, right across the border from St. Louis. We were able to completely eradicate abortion out of Missouri and close down the Planned Parenthood there. But now, right across the river, just a few miles away, is this Hope Clinic. I call it the Hopeless Clinic, which is run by Julie Burkhart, who's the former assistant.
We had a death from an abortion at Hope Clinic. I think only one death at Hope Clinic, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was. Was it Barbara Lee Davis? Let me look. Let me look real quick if Hope Clinic for Women was Barbara Lee Davis. Yeah, Hope Clinic for Women, that was Barbara Lee Davis. The National Abortion Federation had just been founded in response to the Chicago Sun-Times Abortion Profiteers expose. So Barbara Lee is the first death I know of at a National Abortion Federation clinic. So, just an interesting aside. But I guess they've got more stuff on Hope Clinic. Hopefully not any other deaths.
George Tiller out of Wichita, Kansas here. She's got no medical training. Of course, she owns an abortion clinic. She's selling abortions. They got a product to sell. And when you're a hammer, everything is a nail, right? When you're in an abortion clinic, everything is fixed by an abortion. You need an abortion. Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to cut there because we're at 10 minutes. And keep coming back as I'm going to keep plugging through this. We are about 16 minutes into a 36-minute video.